So the surveys are still going out. Attention is now going to be focused on writing the manifesto, and I desperately need a haircut.
Okay, so hello there and welcome to this edition of the Libertarian Listener. And spring has finally sprung by the looks of it. I'm joined today with Lucas Nunes of Libertarian Europe. So hello there.
Hello there, Chris. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, so let's kick off with the first topic of conversation today, which is on the Greensill affair. And I've got a quote from The Week, which says, "The Office of the Registrar of Consultant Lobbyists, ORCL, is probing whether the former Prime Minister David Cameron has engaged in unregistered consultant lobbying on behalf of Greensill Capital, a finance group that went into liquidation at the start of this month. The former PM had been an advisor to Greensill since 2018 and reportedly urged his old Whitehall colleagues to increase the company's access to state-backed emergency coronavirus loan schemes months before the company collapsed. Cameron is said to have approached 10 Downing Street, the Bank of England and the Treasury, including sending text messages to Rishi Sunak asking the Chancellor to intervene." Now, on the face of it, this appears to be quite a bit of a lobbying scandal. So what are your thoughts on the issue generally, first of all?
In some countries, lobbying is forbidden, like openly like that. It's just a way to get the benefits from the taxpayers. You get the taxpayers to pay, or you get regulations to protect your company when you do that. So and like in Europe and in the US, like you see that it's quite normal, but it's just a way to legally do something that will be constantly like violating property rights and literally causing some kind of damage to the overall population, because there is no gain from that for the people.
I mean, is this conduct that we ought to expect of our prime ministers in office? And doesn't it hark back to, for example, the conservative sleaze scandals of the 1990s, where you had things like cash for questions and things like that, which really portrayed the government in a negative light, regardless of the party in power and what people thought of them?
I think, yeah, it really, in a way, like when I saw that, and I was reading about how the media was talking about that, it really seems to be something very damaging to the party, really, the Conservatives, because the media and the people don't seem to really like, especially right now, when you see that it's such a delicate situation where basically the Conservative Party decided to go for this whole lockdown policies, and they kind of create the problem. And then they, at the same time, somebody that was just the prime minister a few years ago, he's trying to protect his investments, to make some money and to protect his friends. So like they caused the problem, they want to get away with it and to make some cash. So yeah, it seems very terrible. Yeah, it's very bad to the reputation. Like it's really, really bad.
I mean, there is surely something deeply wrong with the conduct of politics when text messages are being sent to essentially decide the economic fate of companies, which in the private sector ought to be free to do as they please and have no such economic interventions coming from the state. Isn't this just authoritarianism in action?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like it's the contrary of what free markets mean. Like, so I mean, like, if there is a crisis, especially if there is a crisis that was not caused by the government, but this one was caused by the government. But yeah, like if there is some crisis, like mismanaging of a company, you gotta let it go bankrupt and break. I'm sorry, but like the other individuals, they have nothing to do with poor management of private companies. It's unfair that people have to be giving money to a group of people to when they poorly manage something. So yeah, it's not really nice.
We move on now to the tensions in Northern Ireland. And the Financial Times has said Brussels and London have pledged to intensify joint efforts to resolve tensions over post-Brexit trade rules for Northern Ireland as they seek to avert a repeat of the sectarian violence that erupted in Belfast this month. UK Brexit Minister David Frost and Maros Sefcovic, his opposite number in the European Commission, committed in statements on Friday to further negotiations on a plan for making checks and controls on goods crossing the Irish Sea from Great Britain. Now, we've seen in recent weeks all over the media riots near the Anglo-Irish border, and they are mostly teenagers, but it has included the burning of a bus and the throwing of petrol bombs. So could the political instability generated by Brexit in Northern Ireland jeopardize the integrity of the Good Friday Agreement, as you see it?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think that there are so many things going on in Ireland and in Northern Ireland. I think that the people here in the Republic of Ireland, they have this romantic feel of union, you know, where there will be the two Irelands will be united and happy. Well, the impression I had first time I went to Belfast, it's a different country with different people, different mentality, different accent. Everything is different. It's not the same vibe as in the Republic. The people there are very different. It's not the same country, even if it's in the same island. They are different people, and I think that my impressions from what's going on in there with the teenagers and the youth there, it's regarding the point that it looks like they're kind of being left aside by the UK, and then like because of this fight with Brussels, you know, so the European Union and the UK, they're kind of letting them in the middle of all of that, and culturally they belong, they feel closer to UK. That's the fact. There are some Sinn Féin people there, but come on, they're killing each other because of that. And I knew that such union of two Irelands wouldn't be something possible. From like on the first hours I was in there, you know, it was very obvious with all this different culture, really. Here in the Republic, the Sinn Féin keeps going on and on about that. There is Mary Lou, she's always talking about that. And when you look at that, it's actually, I mean, imagine these people in Northern Ireland, they look to the Republic, and then there are those clowns here, like Varadkar, and there is like there is Mary Lou, and there is Michael Martin, and come on, it's a circus. They certainly don't want to be part of this. I understand them. So, and then the UK, it's kind of betraying them in a way. So what's going to happen? They have like, there are three options. One option is just sticking with the UK. The other option is joining the Republic of Ireland. And the last option is like, well, they can be independent as well. It's another option. And I don't know if they're not feeling represented by any of these two sides. Well, I think that's actually a possibility. And in my perspective, I think that it's very good to have two countries in the same island as well. It's much better. It's safer. If one country starts to do a lot of insensate things, well, the border is very easy to cross, you know.
What are some of those cultural differences? Because it has to be said that even here in the mainland of the UK, it's not really very well known what those differences are and what the source of conflict really is. So what are the cultural difference, the main ones, between the Northern Ireland and the Republic?
I think that the first thing is many people in Ireland, they're taught to really hate England, especially England, and even though it's a very weird relationship, because at the same time they're all always cursing England and the British overall. They have a very close and special relationship with it. It's seen on football because they support the English teams. There's basically no football teams here. It's very like amateur. So yeah, it's a very strange relationship, but yeah, it's very close at the same time. But yeah, like in the Northern Ireland, there is no hatred, and here in the Republic, there is this whole thing because of the Republicans here, that they kind of created this sentiment. Well, I think this is one of the things that was really marking. Here in the Republic, you see Irish flags everywhere, and when you go up there, Union Jacks everywhere. So that's very, very marking. And here it's everything very Celtic as well. Like you see everything really like, and when you're there, it's another vibe. It's really, it feels different just to go from, if you're in Dublin, you go to Belfast, it's another vibe.
Too many history lessons about Oliver Cromwell by the sounds of it. I move on to another quote, this time from Al Jazeera, which says, "The arrangement eventually hammered out by London and Brussels was designed to avoid checks between Northern Ireland and Ireland, which is an EU member still, because an open border on the island, that is ISLAND, has helped underpin the peace process built on the 1998 Good Friday Accord. But contentiously, the Brexit divorce deal did lead to customs and border checks imposed on some goods moving between Northern Ireland and the remainder of the UK under the controversial Northern Ireland Protocol, which effectively created a border in the Irish Sea and has raised the ire of unionists." So surely this must have been an issue at the time of the EU referendum. So how much of an issue was this? And why is this only just becoming apparent? Because Northern Ireland, I seem to remember, was pretty split on whether it wanted independence from the EU or not. There was a big wedge of leave and a big wedge of remain next to each other. Why was it like this, do you think?
I think the situation with the sea border thing is something that concerns more to the politicians and to business owners and people that are more influent, and that the people really, they according to what I have seen, they don't really seem to be so they don't really comprehend so much what the border on the sea means. And I think it's much more like, because it might create economical problems for one side or another in a way. So but the people really, they don't seem to comprehend economically and politically what it really means. So I think those conflicts is just really something about identity. It's much more to belonging to one thing and not to another, and also being angry because they are feeling betrayed, and openly politicians from both sides are like condemning the violence and the riots and everything. So they might be feeling betrayed. I don't really think that they understand so much, like those teenagers. I mean, like, come on, they're teenagers. I don't think they understand like when we start talking about the sea border and how that would impact the situation in Northern Ireland, especially those teenagers that are more likely to go riot. They're different people in a way. It's not like the average teenager is going to be reading books all day.
So obviously, it raises a spectre of the Troubles, all of this violence. Do you see any possible solutions to the differences between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland?
They can make solutions for that if they want, but the thing is, European Union is being a bully with the UK. That's the truth about it. I mean, like, when we look at the whole like vaccine thing and the supplies of vaccines and confiscations and all that thing, they're doing that because they want to screw up with the UK because of the Brexit. And then Northern Ireland is just another thing that the European Union is going to use to do that. And also, of course, UK also will use that because, well, it's a fight. They're like fighting. So it's just like they're in the middle of the crossfire, and it's a pity, and it's really sad to see that, because that's the truth. These people, they just happen to be in a very delicate situation, and the European Union really doesn't care about it. And then England, specifically Westminster, is not really caring about them as well. So they're just being in the middle there. I feel bad for them. And what they could do is they could just give a special privileges to that region. But they don't want to do that. They could just settle something regarding border control, imports, exports, and then it would be much easier to solve that. And and the other way, that if they're in the middle of all of that, it's not so difficult that then it happens to have some movement where they will simply try to go independent, secession. It's a possibility. I mean, like, if the UK doesn't want them, and then and then they don't want to join the Republic of Ireland, well, why not starting another country? It's a possibility as well.
Yeah. So now we move on to the latest COVID developments, and despite the government claiming otherwise, it's now been revealed that the reopening of non-essential shops and pubs has not led to an increase in either the number of COVID cases or the number of deaths. Now, according to Worldometers, yesterday, which was April the 18th, new cases rose by just 1,882 in the UK. That's the lowest rise since September the 5th. The number of active cases fell to just 109,982 nationwide. That's the lowest level since September the 23rd, and down from a peak of over 2 million in late January. So a really massive drop very quickly. And just 10 deaths attributed to COVID-19, despite constant new fears of the variants, and most recently in India. So I've got a quote from Metro here, which says, Danny Altman, Professor of Immunology at Imperial College London, hardly the most reputable of organisations as a result of this pandemic, but there we go, warned variants of COVID-19 do pose a threat to the unlocking of the country. He says, quote, I am concerned about all the variants. Don't get me wrong, I think our roadmap is going well, and at the moment, in this country, we are doing rather well, enjoying unlocking. He told ITV's Good Morning Britain. But out there, he says, there is the Indian variant, the South African variant, the Brazilian, etc., and they do pose a threat. He suggested vulnerable people could be caught out by the new Indian strain, whatever that means, but said it is a variant still under investigation rather than a variant of concern at the moment. He says, at the moment, we are still vulnerable, and some people in our population are still vulnerable. What I mean by that is the Indian variant, for example, certainly has a mutation like the ones that evade the best neutralizing antibodies, Professor Altman added. Now, isn't all of this sounding incredibly complicated, but also fundamentally false? Because most of the UK has now had a first vaccine, which the government claims is supposed to reduce the likelihood of infection and offer a greater degree of immunity against all variants. That's what they said. It was all variants. Yet the government is now claiming that these variants, which are fundamentally less deadly forms of the virus, are still a concern. I mean, how on earth are people going to stomach this doublethink? It's been going on for ages. How can this happen?
It's really, if you look to what the media has been doing, they have been constantly saying opposite things all the time. They say A and then they say B, and they don't. There is no consistency, and sometimes it looks like they just keep doing things that will basically grant them more clicks, the media, from their part. But the government, the authorities, they seem to try to really panic. There was something I read, it's maybe 1-2 weeks ago, about the UK trying to make the thing on purpose to sound much worse than what it was, just to make the people to fear and to stay home. And it was, yeah, and so it looks like they keep doing that. And I think that they're liking many politicians are liking this power they have, and they are using that as a tool for change, really, like really going to, they're taking advantage of all of that to pass many reforms that they wanted to pass, and people are not paying attention to things, and then they just keep saying contradictory things. That's my interpretations to what they have been saying. So it's always like, oh, you have to panic, keep panicking. It's South Africa, then next week is going to be India, and then it's going to be Hong Kong, and then it's going to be Russia, and then there is always an enemy, and then things don't go really back to the normal. It's the new normal, all this constant chaos.
Do you think that's why they keep bringing up these variants? Is it simply to distract from nefarious government policies? For example, with the Covert Human Intelligence Services Bill that passed, which enables certain officials to legally commit murder in the course of their duty, essentially.
I think yes, as well. I think that not everybody is playing a big game. Some people, I mean, like, this world is full of nuances. It's never black or white. There are also several shades of gray in between of all of that. I think that some people, they're really more Machiavellic in the politics, and they really see the opportunity, and they do really harmful things. But there are other people that I just think they're really trying to do their best, but well, hell, the road to hell is paved of good intentions as well. And then there are just people that they started with all of that, and well, to say you're wrong in politics, it's suicide. If you say, oh, okay, I messed up with the economy, well, it's all destroyed, sorry guys. You can't say that in politics. So they're not going to say I'm sorry, so they might just as well keep pushing more and more towards the narrative of panic, fear, and have more control. And some people really want to have more control because they want that. Like, of course, I'm not saying there is like a global plot like that, but of course there are players in this big political game that they see the opportunity and they know what they're doing. Like they just took the advantage of COVID here in Dublin, and then like they started to alter the structure of the city center, ban cars from certain streets, because with the reduction of traffic, they took advantage to pass a lot of things that would have pissed off people. So there is a lot of that going on right now.
Are you surprised by the fact that so many people are still wedded to the idea that there is a deadly pandemic out there, when in our everyday lives we don't really see much evidence, if any, of people being ill, you know, let alone dying of a pandemic?
Yes, gosh, sometimes I don't understand how come people are like that. I had family members that had coronavirus, and I mean, like, they were okay. My mother had it. She actually got pneumonia because of the mask, because of the bacteria. Because yeah, so if you don't change a mask often, bacteria keep going back to your lungs, and you might have problems. So I mean, they talk too much about all of these deaths, but in many places, if you look, they're like we have to watch the total number of deaths to have an idea, like 2019 compared to 2020, to have a picture, because in many countries there are those numbers, and then like people simply stopped dying of other diseases, of other things. It's like a magic. Like in Brazil, they have a problem with a virus from a mosquito there, and then magically nobody died of that anymore, you know? So like what's the miracle? Something that was for several years, they had issues with that, and it magically disappears. Or just like, can we really believe that nobody has the flu anymore? Like the cases of flu in the UK, they disappeared as well. So I mean, it's ridiculous when we look all of that, and they always have an excuse saying that, oh, it's the lockdowns actually causing the flu to be kind of eradicated. And come on, it's a respiratory virus. It doesn't disappear like that. If coronavirus is not going that way, how come a flu is going like that? It doesn't make any sense.
And of course, all of those people who are suffering from things like bacterial pneumonia, you mentioned there with the masks, how many of those people are confusing that for the coronavirus itself, considering that that is going to affect the respiratory system, the lungs, the airways, and things like that, which overlay with the symptoms of the coronavirus itself? Do you think that a lot of the figures is actually a misdiagnosis of other things?
I think there is a lot of misdiagnosis as well. And I think that well, when we have those ridiculous PCR tests, that it's like you toss a coin, and you know, it's just like that. Yeah, you have or you don't have. Like you can test it like 100 times, and maybe you have 50-50. You know, like a kiwi tested positive for coronavirus. Come on, a kiwi. Like the guy did test with a kiwi, and I was like, no, come on, it's ridiculous. I'm not denying the virus exists, but it's just like, it's not like that. And there is this whole hype on it. I remember that at the beginning of this whole coronavirus things, I think it was in March 2020, and then coronavirus was already the most typed thing ever, or disease ever, like more than HIV, more than flu, more than cancer. Like it's insane how fast they started to hype that, and then people just it's just like they keep saying something and then the people eventually believe,
What do you think of Sir Keir Starmer being kicked out of a pub for not sufficiently opposing the government on lockdown? Do you think there is a credible opposition to the current tyrannical policies, or is it really leaving a lot to be desired?
Oh, I had just retweeted that video of him being like basically kicked out of the pub. I think that in a way, well, many people many people are understanding what's going on. I think it depends a lot of the country. Some countries people understand more. Some countries people don't really understand and they just believe more the government and everything. But yeah, I think like especially in pubs, when we see that the pubs, they have suffered a lot, but the pubs suffered more than anything else in Ireland and also in the UK. I think more than restaurants, because restaurants they were granted some months where they could open, but then there was that whole thing, oh no, but you can't have alcohol anymore, because if you have alcohol, no, you're gonna misbehave, you're gonna lose control. Yeah, it's very like nanny state, like it's ridiculous. So yeah, the pub owner kicking a politician that didn't oppose to all these measures, I understand that. I would have done the same if I could.
Well, good luck with Libertarian Europe, and it's always good to have a degree of competition with the podcasts.
Oh yeah, thank you very much.
All right, well, it's been great having you on, Lucas. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Chris.
And now we head over to my campaign diary for this week.
Yeah, so for this week, it's mostly going to be about writing the manifesto, and I suppose what's come as a great relief to many in the area is that the green space building projects have now been dropped by the council, which perhaps suggests that they weren't vote winners. And that's something to look forward to, but it does mean that we need to change the emphasis of the campaign slightly so that we remain relevant. But something else has happened, and that is that the proposed new leisure centre in Stitchbrook Park is now up for a petition, and I think the council could see backlash against that. The leader of the council at the district level has suddenly said, oh, we love green spaces, we're so pleased that the green spaces are safe. But it was their very policy, indeed their very conservative council, that wanted to get rid of them. So we're dealing with contradictions and conflict of interest, and it's all getting very confusing. So I think actually a simple message for the manifesto, which is obviously libertarian, pro-liberty in its tone, is going to do very well. I think that this is going to be a values-based campaign more than a policy-based campaign. So things to do for this coming week. I've still got to do the design for the leaflets. I've got to avoid these birds. And keep getting the surveys out, because they are driving up engagement with the campaign. And that's only a good thing, because even if they don't get round to taking much attention to the leaflet, we can at least get them with the survey. I suppose as well, it's always good for being able to put your views across to, in this case, an independent candidate, because you feel as though you're more part of the process. So there's lots to do, as always, and I shall be back next week with more of the same, and hopefully a haircut.